What's going on? Welcome back to Trending Stocks. Today we're going to talk to you about SoFi. The highly anticipated day is finally here. I want to give you an overview of some of the data points, some highlights from their Q3 earnings, and everything else you need to know. But first, make sure to hit that thumbs up, and with that, let's get right to it. So SoFi did go down 6.43%. Absolute craziness. It did have a spike to roughly around $11.99 pre-market, and that's largely because of their kick-ass numbers. So as you can kind of see, record member growth, so 35% year over year, products 31% year over year, another record for this. So Q3 2025, 17% year over year growth, record for lending and financial service products. Honestly, I think the only problem about SoFi is it got so hyped up. It needed to be 1,000,000% perfect, and if it was just 1% off of that 1 million, it was going to have a pullback. So I think that's kind of what happened in reality, but shorts also increasing the last couple of days showed that they were going to be fairly active today, and they kind of were. So I'm going to go over that in a second, but it did have a low of $9.77, and it really did kill me. The reason why I was unable to live stream it today is I had a work meeting, and during this time period, I was in a meeting. If not, I would have been buying the hell out of the dip. Unfortunately, I did buy it roughly, I think it was at 10:30, something like that, but still, it is what it is. I think based on the results, and if you believe in SoFi and you didn't buy today, I don't know what to tell you. These results are absolutely phenomenal. And not only that, they raised future guidance. I haven't actually listened to the whole transcript yet. I've been kind of going through it. There's a lot of good stuff that was said though, so I'll do a little bit more of a deeper dive into it going into tomorrow. But this right here, just read this, and it's actually very accurate. SoFi has gone through a hell of a lot of crap in the short time period that's been on the market, right? So it says we've achieved 17 of 19 quarters of record revenue growth through a recession, a pandemic, 150 basis point rate drop, damage to our largest and most profitable business, a student loan refinance, and blah, blah, blah. So SoFi is it's doing fairly well for getting punched around many times. So it is showing it is a formidable force. And plus, one thing that did come out that really shook the broader market was the JOLTS numbers. So it came in at 7.4 million, actual was 7.8. So showing a little bit more of a loosening in the broader kind of labor market. And that's one thing that Powell has kind of stated that is something to watch for. So once again, that kind of had a little bit more of a pullback just across the board, not to do with SoFi. But this is Brad, what he kind of posted. If you guys don't follow Brad on Twitter, recommend you guys doing that because gives pretty good synopsises of a lot of good stocks, popular stocks. So this is SoFi talking about future guidance, their actual revenue and everything. So yeah, record numbers, but like I said, shorts did decide to double down. They were fairly active today. So even pre-market, they were increasing roughly around 1 million shares. So I think they also were the culprits on why it started to pull back right here, but they ended up only increasing 647,000 shares. But like I said, that is net, so going back and forth, 17.03% of the free float is being shorted, works out to be 178.19 million shares, utilization 32.92, and then cost to borrow average is 0.82%. But moving over to options, 41 million in calls, 13 million in puts, 47% of all the options that were done today were optimistic and bullish, so generally a good thing. And of the call options that were purchased today, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that $12 range, which or maybe or even around $12.50. So I think in my opinion, that's fairly good and somewhat justified, once again, based on the numbers. If these record numbers didn't come out, then yeah, I'd probably say otherwise, that maybe it'd be more consolidation, but this is a good business. And as a lot of people have obviously brought up in the past, what happens operationally doesn't always coincide with the stock price. So I think right now, finally, the stock price is moving towards where it should be. And even if you compare, I believe Data Driven Investing did post something on social media, and he kind of talked on how Palantir, I know not in the same business as SoFi, but if you just compare apples to oranges, if that makes sense, using the PS ratio, Like Palantir is like a 40 multiple, whereas SoFi is like a 4.5 multiple. Like it just does not make sense whatsoever given SoFi's growth. And like I said, it's one thing maybe if they were having kind of slowing growth, but this is just record numbers. So yeah, something to keep in mind. But these are all the transactions that did occur on the secondary market above $100,000. So you saw some buying first thing, so pre-market, and then ultimately this is the wall of selling that caused it to go down. A couple of big ones as well, so 12.9, 1.35 million. And like I said, shorts were very active during this time period. So by increasing, they are selling. So I'm sure some of this is shorts, just using the secondary market. Then you had entities starting to finally buy the dip. So if you're one of those individuals as well that did buy the dip, give yourself a shout out. Even after hours right here, a lot of big ones. So 17.3 million, 1.9. So big money is buying after hours. And that is why at the same time, it is up 0.86%. So like I said, give yourself a shout out if you were bold enough to kind of average down and buy the dip. But big money likes what they see clearly, and obviously won't let shorts or whatever manipulation does happen really determine that. But right now with at $10.47 where it did close, it is trading between this S1 and the pivot. So 1039 will be a strong support. It did have a low of 977, so it kind of bounced off of this S3, very significant sell-off. So it did bounce off of that general area-ish, and then $10.80 was the high. So it bounced at the same time off of this somewhat pivot point right here. So in my opinion, one point to watch for tomorrow is 1039 to hold. I don't anticipate that to be really that big of a concern going into the rest of the week, unless a lot of the other data points that are coming out, such as GDP, PCE, non-farm payroll, unemployment rate, and ISM manufacturing. Unless those data points are negative, I don't see that being touched. So 1083 will be the next target to essentially watch for SoFi to get above. Quickly popping over to IBKR. So you had a couple new ratings, most likely a significant, some of them will come out tomorrow, but you had Mizuho Dan, who has a 53% success rating, did maintain their buy rating. You also had Jeffrey's $13 price target, John, who has a 60% success rating. So that's always a good one. So I anticipate a lot more double digits to come out tomorrow, because as a consensus, a lot of these $4 ones are really suppressing it. Consensus is $8.71, and that is a 16.81% downside. You always do see some manipulation, especially from Jeffrey, Morgan Stanley, Compass Point, and Wedbush. Those people just absolutely hate SoFi, so it'll be interesting to see what they do for ratings. This is just speculation, but I would say David will probably bite the bullet and raise his actual price target. Still will be bearish. He'll probably give a 6. So give me your price predictions on what this POS is going to give for a rating. And yeah, we'll see who's closest. I think 6, because like I said, I think he's still going to be crappy, try to manipulate SoFi down, but at the same time, you have to also keep your kind of standards and have your high rating, 43% of course. But yeah, you can't just say, hey, I think it's going to go down to $1 without justifying your actions. And based on SoFi's earnings, there's no reason to really be bearish. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see. But on the actual chart itself, so it did bounce off of this big pivot point. So this is a super trend indicator, and typically every time a stock does kind of touch that or break, it turns bullish and bearish. You can kind of see that right here. So it did touch this, bounced higher. So in general, kind of saving that. As of today, it did close below the ALMA, so you might see some further consolidation. Plus, it is still rather overbought. You see a starting of a bearish deviation starting to form, so orange line above the blue. But I think all in all, SoFi's technicals should be okay, especially given the results, but I think it'll all come down to a lot of the other data that is coming out the rest of the week. So what's your takeaway? Like I said, I didn't actually listen to it in its entirety, the earnings, but I'll be doing that probably tonight, and I'll do a dedicated video. So what was your key highlights from SoFi's earnings? So let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I did also launch memberships, so if you like my SoFi content, want to support the growth, you can definitely do so. Or if you want buy signals on stocks and options, I have a private Discord for that, so definitely take a look at that. Link in the description below and also the comments. With all that, appreciate all of you watching.